Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Draft to Glory. I know it has been a long time since I uploaded the last episode of Draft to Glory, so you will see a new animation or graphic, whatever you want to say, of the record that we currently have. So we are currently 0 and 2, which is not really good. So I went with the 4-4-2 holding formation, and in the first player pick, we do indeed get some pretty decent player like Raheem Sterling, Pogba, Aguero. I went ahead with Pogba, he will also be our captain. So in the next player pick, we go for our CTM role, and we do indeed get Delaney, Torres, and I went ahead with Torres. He plays in La Liga, as most of us know. And then in the striker player pick, we do indeed get road to the final Tadic, which is always good to see. And again in the next player pick, we do indeed get Freeze Dembele, which is a completely cracked card. I really loved using this card in the gameplay, you will see. So yeah, I went ahead with Dembele and swapped him and Tadic to get that chemistry. So now I go on to the right midfielder pick, and we again get pretty decent player like Sancho and Lucas Moura. I went with Lucas Moura for that link to Paul Pogba. Now in terms of the right back pick, we again get some pretty decent player like Alexander Arnold, and I went ahead, I chose him because he will give us the link to Lucas Moura. And for the first centre back pick, we do indeed get some pretty decent play like the centre back Delaney, Upamecano and Lindelof, and also that team of the group stage guy who plays in the Bundesliga. So I was really confused with whom to go, because if I went with Lindelof, then obviously he will give us that link to Trent Alexander-Arnold, but I thought that I would get a Bundesliga centre back or a midfielder, so I went with Delaney. Again in the next pick, we do indeed get a freeze card from Italy, and he looks pretty decent, to be honest, and 85 rated centre back. So I went ahead with Klosterman for that link to Delaney. So in terms of the goalkeeper, we do indeed get some pretty decent picks like Lopez and that Bundesliga guy. I went ahead with Castiles, I believe how we say his name. Sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Again in the left back pick, it was a pretty trash pick. I went ahead with this Bundesliga guy for that link to Klosterman. And in the left midfield pick, we do need to get Leroy Sané. He will give us that link to that left back from the Bundesliga. And this is our first 11. It looks pretty decent, but I'm hoping to get some pretty good players. Again we go on to our goalkeeper pick, and we do indeed get Inform Noah, which I straight took and put him instead of that Castells guy. I don't get mad at me if I'm saying his name wrong. Again we do indeed get a centre back from Bundesliga, and he's an Inform, so I was really confused with whom I really want. So Trent Alexander is not that good in game, so I went ahead with Nelson Semedo. I should have gone with that Bundesliga centre back. Again the next player pick, we do indeed get a left back from Bundesliga in terms of Guerrero. Again we get Thomas Muller, which is always nice to see, and we also got Kimmich, so I decided to swap him and Pogba. He would give us a lot of game, or we can even use him as a super sub or something like that. So in the next player pick we go, and it was a pretty trash pick. I went with Origi so I can swap him and Tadic and get that link with Lucas Moura and Pogba. So in the next player pick we go, and again it was a pretty decent pick. We do indeed got Heung-min Son in form, and he's a completely cracked card, and I went ahead and chose him. So he wasn't really giving me any links at this moment, but we move on to our last sub player pick, and we do indeed again get a road to the final Insigne, which looks pretty good, to be honest. We can use him as a super sub, or even fit him his team if we like shuffle our team a bit. So yeah, anyways I went with the road to the final Insigne. Now we move on to our reserves, and the first player pick we again get some pretty good players, I can say, like Bruno Fernandes and Martinez. I went with Bruno Fernandes, and first I decided to play him instead of Origi, but then I swapped him and Pogba, but he wasn't really giving us much game. Anyways I go into the next player pick, and we again get a freeze player, and I think I chose him because he wasn't really of our use, so I decided to go ahead with Mohamed Salah so I can play him instead of Lucas Moura, and he gives us a perfect link to Origi, which is always good to see. Again, in the next player pick, it was pretty trash. I went with the highest rated player, who was Lucas Vasquez. So in the second last player pick, it was again trash. I decided to go with the Spanish guy who plays in La Liga. Again, in the next player pick, it was a pretty trash pick, to be honest. No one of our used, so I went ahead with Asensio, swap my team around a bit. So now we go on to a manager pick, and we do indeed get a Premier League player. This is the first time that I'm getting a useful manager card, so yeah, I'm very happy to see that, which doesn't really affect that much, like it will give us extra game, I know that. And as you can see, it was a 185 draft, so I was playing Dembele at a striker position. I managed to fit Son, Pogba and Bruno in the team, and the rest is pretty much the same. So yeah, we do indeed go on to our first game, and it took us a lot of time to find this game, and he had some pretty decent players if they decide to load up. He had that Kyle Walker UCL card and that road to the final Alba, Upamecano, Hideki, and his Paul Pogba, which just ripped me apart. He also had that Rashford, Rafinha, Bernardo Silva on his left wing. I decided to bring Tadic and Kimmich on. So here you can see that Son was on the attack. He does a fake shot inside, he shoots, but his Hideki saves it. Like, I don't know what happens. This draft gameplay is very awful compared to division rivals. I don't know, something happens to the opponent's keeper and he saves almost every shot. So again you can see that he was on the counter attack, and then he hit the crossbar from the header, and then he managed to score in the 11th minute, which is very frustrating to see with his Pogba. As I said earlier, his Pogba ripped me apart completely. So yeah, again in the 15th minute you can see that Dembele was on the ball. He does some ball rolls, he do indeed does a fake shot inside, and he takes a huge touch and which gives us the ball. So yeah, you can see that in the 18th minute he was on the attack with Pogba, again shoots, and Neuer just lets it in like it is nothing, and again his Pogba rips me apart. And again in the 23rd minute his Pogba was on the ball, he shoots but it gets blocked, he gets the ball back, then he passes it to his road to the final Rashford, and again he goes on to score. And I don't know what was my defense doing, and Neuer wasn't doing anything. Like, he made one or two saves, I don't know what happened to him. And always this happens to me in a draft game, that my opponent goalkeepers saves every shot, and not a completely perfect part, but it still went out of bounds. But we do need to get the ball back from our opponent's throw in, and again as I said earlier, his goalkeeper was saving everything that came his way. And in the 37 minutes finally Neuer decided to make the save. He takes a shot and he finally saves something, and we sort of went on a counter attack with Guerrero to Son, and he stops the ball, then he does a rainbow flick, and then he lays off for Insigne to Fernandes shoots, and he do indeed gives the ball away. Then you will see that Neuer throws the ball to our defender, but we do indeed give it back to our opponent, and he almost scores his fourth goal. And at that point we had no chance of comeback, but we do indeed go on a counter attack, and Dembele finally does something and chips the keeper, and we do indeed make it 3-1. I had a little bit hope of coming back in the second half and making some subs, but we intercepted the ball here from our opponent. Again Dembele was on the ball. I again thought of going and scoring, but Dembele gets intercepted. We again get the ball back, but we again give it. This is very frustrating. Like, if you make a perfect tackle, the opponent gets the ball back straight. This also happens against me and with me. So yeah, in the second half Dembele was on the ball in the 53rd minute. He cuts inside, he almost loses the ball, he gives it to Salah, then Salah's pass gets intercepted, but Son wins it back, he shoots, and his shot twice gets blocked by the defender. Then his goalkeeper Prime Yashin saves it. I don't know again what is up with his keeper, he saves everything. Again from the corner I decide to take it short. Dembele does some ball rolls, he gets past two players, but again his Upamecano or whoever that is recovers, and we again get a corner. I again decide to take a shot, and here with Guerrero I did a skill move and it gets intercepted, but we do indeed get the ball back, and Son gets the ball back, he does a fake shot, and I decide to take the shot, but again it gets blocked. like complete BS was going around. You can also see that my opponent was making perfect tackles, but he was keep on losing the ball. And in the 61st minute, he was just passing around. Then he tries to pass it to Rafinha, and then Rafinha inside, and this time it gets cleared away, but he again gets the ball back. He do indeed subbed on Messi, but Messi gives the ball away. I made a pretty good tackle. Then in the 65th minute, Son was on the ball. He passed to Dembele. Dembele took a long shot, and again his prime Yashin saved it. And again in the 87th minute, like I almost lost all my hopes, and we do indeed go on to lose our game. And again he scores 1-4, and I didn't even make any sense. It's 4-1. I don't know what I'm even saying. And you can even see from the stats that I had 10 shots and 8 shots was on target. He do indeed had like 21 shots, so fair play to him. We had 38% possession, 10 tackles. He completely controlled the game. He also had 62% possession, so yeah, I can't really complain. And we didn't even got one win, so yeah, we had some pretty trash rewards from the lone player pack. We do indeed get a lone player which we can use in friendlies, and we got Fabinho, Liverpool one, and we can use him in a friendly to complete some objectives. Then from a gold pack we got a club fill player. We could even sell him to get some coins back. So yeah, I decided to quick sell these consumables, and I decided to list these possession cards, and they do indeed went on to sell. So I made some of my money back that I put into this draft. So most of the players went on to get sold, which I listed on transfer market. So in the last pack we did not got anything good. I skipped it. I was very frustrated with the gameplay of the draft, and this might be the last draft, or I might do an episode after this. So yeah, I expected to get a team of the year card in this, but we'll try again in the next draft. Hopefully there is another episode. So the record is 0-3, which is very poor. I will try to recover in season 2 of Draft to Glory, and yeah, there's going to be a season 2 of Draft to Glory. I will begin in 1 month after the last episode goes live, and it will be in March or April, depends. Until then I will do skill tutorials. So yeah, basically that is it for this episode, and I'll see you in the next one.